know if it's a question about product or process, but your poetry, I feel like, often points to language itself, its materiality. I'm thinking especially of a magic book and the like lullaby that sort of reoccurs throughout the book. And we see this even with like the smallest words, such as it and a flame. It itself made, it a word we try not to use, so useful now. Let's see how to tell it without it. And then later, it, fire, a gift, when it is actually directly named. And I guess I'm just, maybe because of my own interests, I'm curious how language itself is generative for you in poetry, or what your,
Yeah, I mean, I often become sort of obsessed with an individual word, and it's almost like, like a tick. Like I can't stop thinking of that word. And it was one for me that, I mean, first of all, we're always told, don't use it. There's got to be something specific you can put in its place, right? Like when we're younger and we're writing or whatever. And one of the things that's so great about that kind of a word is that you have to have context to know what we're talking about. So when we repeat it, or when we don't have the context, we can actually start to see the word as a word and not simply jump to the thing that it's supposed to represent. And that's, because we use language every day and we need it to be useful, that's something that we do. Like we're doing it right now. I'm doing it right now. And we have to have language. We have to forget that it's something standing in for something else. But when you use a word like it and we don't have a context, we immediately have to recognize that we have two letters. It sounds like this. What can it do? Where can it go? It can go lots of places. So that to me is always really interesting and exciting. And so I think that happens a lot. I think a lot of times the words that I become fascinated with are those kinds of words that, if taken out of context, have immense possibilities.
It feels very Gertrude Stein.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. And I feel like she's been so important to me, but I've never known how, in a way, so maybe that's part of it, yeah.
Just a little trace of that.
Yeah, right. So, and that whole notion, I guess, that she had of cleaning language, or, no such thing as repetition because each time it's new, that's related to notions of, right, of how the individual word can reveal itself outside of its, what it's pointing to. So, and that's something poetry can do that most other kinds of language usage can't. So that's something that I always want to bring into the poem if possible. And with the fire poem, it just, because everything was being transformed by fire, and also that notion that I already brought up of the thing being created by fire, not being destroyed by it, that idea of it just became incredibly multifold, I guess. So that seemed like the right word to meditate on for that poem.
Nice.